since you're making a case that's, diametrically opposed to that of your brother?
Well, he referenced like the truckers as like a small fringe minority. And I'll counter that. I actually believe the Liberals in the current government really represent a small fringe.
I think that's right.
And I think the majority of Canadians are frustrated. They're wondering why it's costing $45 for a platter of vegetables at the store. I feel like they're frustrated around, what took place, how 2 years of their lives were surrounded within so much fear and how everybody was cut off. And, people I know, like personally, some like, when I spoke up during the trucker thing and was like, was really inspired by them, it was like 99-1 positive messages, to negative messages. It's been overwhelmingly positive, the reaction and the sentiment. And it just seems like, real, like reality or like, the primary interactions that I'm seeing with people versus like, the Matrix reality, what you see on television are very different. And in talking to some of my friends in Ottawa, like, I asked them, like, did you go down to Parliament Hill and engage? Because it seemed like, it seemed like yes, it was like a demonstration, but it also seemed like it was a party. It seemed like for 17 days, Burning Man came to Ottawa.
Yeah.
It was freezing.
In January,
freezing man. And crime was down, vibes were high, people were looking out for each other. There was communal effort, they're participating, there was so much gifting, it was radically inclusive. Like all the principles were on display. But, to those who didn't venture in there, if they just watched the news, it was, no, this is like, this is right.
Nazi conclave.
Nazis there. And they flew a Nazi flag and oh my God, it's the Nazis. And that's like, I feel like that flag was basically, what was the Reichstag?
Yeah.
All over again.
Yeah, of course.
A micro example
of course.
of that planted. So there was this opportunity to engage with, these million people and the truckers, but more than the truckers too, because the truckers represented like, the heart of it. But then Canadians came out. I talked to my friend Sonny. He went to go to an overpass and he had been, isolated for over a year, like with his family living in this bubble. And like questioning things. And then he went out to see the overpass and see all the truckers. There were hundreds of people at this overpass. And just like the energy of all those people was really inspiring. And then he ended up going to Ottawa and being like, this is incredible. So, the reality of what took place on the ground there, if you went out and visited and saw with your primary your eyes versus what the media was painting it as, were very different. And unfortunately, because it's based on a myth, the government just chose to enrage versus engage. And, and then following it, they enacted the War Measures Act, rebranded the Emergencies Act, to censor people's bank accounts. Individual personalities within the movement were indefinitely detained. They confiscated, used legal tactics to lock up a lot of the donation funds that were going towards supporting the demonstration. Give, Send, Go, the faith-based crowdfunding platform, got hacked by some devilish characters, and then they released all the information of the donors to the public. And our valiant mainstream media in Canada were first to go through and analyze who all the people that donated were and start doxing people like, oh, that guy works in works on Parliament Hill, and people were getting fired as a result of it. And for me, what was really kind of challenging out of this was, if you bring 1 million people to Ottawa in the heart of winter for this truly exceptional gathering with a purpose, and they used the horns, and by the end, the horns, they were trying to work with the city too, and they were trying to, they wanted to respect. They didn't want to be, real assholes to everybody in the city. And the beginning of, you don't know exactly. It's
right.
kind of coming together. But the result of, okay, the security guards come into the zone and clear everybody out, and they got those terrible images of like that ridiculous horse trampling of the old lady, and a bunch of brutality, and those were some of the images that really stuck, because they didn't want the bouncy castle images to be what this thing was remembered. People cleared out peacefully, and it was bouncy castles and hot tubs and street hockey and fireworks and dance parties and press conferences and experts gathering together and gifting and like communal activity. That's one thing. So instead they brought in the security guards, and they had a really ugly kind of, house cleaning to it. And then they punily went after everybody. So as Canadians, if you can't change or have a voice through a massive demonstration like that, what methods do you have?